Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to this personal power life coaching video segment. I'm Jen from Personal Power, and today's video focuses on the topic of imagination and using our inspiring and incredible capacity to imagine the best and to imagine the most positive and uplifting of outcomes for you that is feasible within your imagination and capacity. So, this talk is inspired by some of the recent teachings that I've been learning from Neville Goddard. I've been listening to a lot of his talks on YouTube, which there are an abundance of, and they're free on YouTube, so I invite you to discover them if it resonates with you. But essentially, the idea that I want to cover today is about not just creating your own reality, but sort of using this concept of believing it in, of starting with your outcome in mind and knowing what you want. Those three things, they just come out glaringly right now at me, and I wish to share them with us on this in this segment today, because it can really help to transform your life if applied, and it can bring positive beneficial outcomes and benefits to you and to your whole experience and to others around you. So essentially, the idea is to use your imagination to believe in what you want and to ask yourself the questions, the powerful questions. What would it be like if I had what I wanted? And who would it be? Who would I have to be? Or who would I look like? Or what kind of a person would I be were I to have that thing or that situation or that circumstance in my life? So for instance, if you want a job, or you want to relocate, or you want to meet a partner or get married or leave your current relationship, whatever life change, rather than feeling like you need to take action all the time and make things happen, because that can be a separate course of events, rather than relying entirely on the outside world for that approval or that validation or that green light, that even that space for you to do something or to feel the relief, perhaps you can take power more within yourself and go within, close your eyes, and imagine what life would be like if you had the thing that you say that you want. And you may realize, or you may discover, that the first thing is knowing what we want, and that can be puzzling at first, because that's what I've encountered from some of the clients that I've met with and for my own self, is that it's easy for us to voice dissatisfaction and complaint, and yet when it comes down to nailing down and identifying, what do I want? What is better? What would be preferable? It becomes a little bit more nuanced. And that's because partly it may be that you don't want to get it wrong, or you haven't thought of it exactly in what I do want. You just know that something feels wrong in the way things are, but then what is on the other side of that? And do I know what that is? Can I state it clearly? And then am I afraid to write that out, or am I afraid to claim that because of fear that it might be wrong, that I don't trust myself enough, or that it might not happen, so I'm afraid to ask for that and it might not happen and I'll be disappointed? And also because it means changing the status quo means changing the status quo. It means change, and it means going to feel uncomfortable and going through shifts and perhaps feeling a little bit topsy-turvy as you go through transitions. And the more meaningful and profound the changes you're asking for are, then the more uncomfortable and unsettling it might feel for you as you go through that process of inner change and outer change. Because actually that outer change will rock your world. So the changes can be positive, and they will be positive insofar as what you're asking for is coming from a space of alignment and authenticity and love and peacefulness and connection with your spirit and your soul and your authentic beingness, and not from fear. Not from fear. We don't want to state what we want from a space of fear. We want to focus in on the love. We want to focus in on the clarity and the upliftment that comes from within you. So those are some of the key concepts, is basically believing it in by knowing what you want, by stating what do I want, and then acknowledging that there might be some fearful thoughts, that you might not know what that is, but this is the process to begin that. And once you do get that identified and detailed, and in the detail, it doesn't have to be so specific that it gets you confused about how this is all going to happen. The key is for us not to worry how it's going to come into being, but just right now we're only focusing on the imaginative process. The process just from within, just in your inner being, just from your imagination. And so this does require going into a space of closing your eyes. I mean, Neville Goddard has a whole procedure behind it, and by no extent am I the expert on Neville's teachings. I've just recently discovered them, but I thought it would be very nifty and wonderful to combine these nuanced and subtle teachings, because they relate to a lot of what we are already doing anyways. Like, you are already imagining things, right? But the thing is, we can easily imagine the worst, anticipating the worst, so that our feelings are less hurt and we're less let down. But ultimately, we're just perpetuating that cycle of the status quo because of that expectation that you've put out there. So why not shift that towards a direction of from a new vantage point, a new perspective, and a new horizon? And hence, what it means is using your imagination from now on in a positive, constructive way, using it as one of your resources. In life coaching, we are trained to identify and hone in on the resources of every person, every client. So for you to identify what your resources are, and you may not even realize, but now you do, that your imagination is one of those amazing, powerful, significant resources, and it comes from your divine creative self, from God or spirit or whatever faith you believe in. It comes from that. So use that divine gift and resource, if you want to see it as a plane, like not as a plane, but as a resource, and use that as a tool in your toolbox, and imagine the best that can happen. See yourself, and then combine that with questions, powerful questions such as, how would you be living? What would you be doing? Who would you be with? Who would you share the news with? And what would you be saying? And if it's about you transforming your character, your personality traits, or leaving a habit behind and adopting a new habit, what would it mean for you to have your new habit? What would it mean for you to be doing the new things that you're doing, or to feel the way you want to feel in your body, or to be with the people that you aspire to be? Those kinds of questions, not concerning yourself with, oh, but I'd have to do this and then I'd have to do that. Rather, we are just going into the space of fun and creative visualization, and then infusing that with the notion of what I do want, having your outcome in mind, seeing it as your outcome. Well, my outcome is X. And you can apply this to small situations, such as an event happening this evening. Like if you need to meet someone or you have a busy agenda and then you don't know how things are going to play out, but see the end in mind, see yourself at the end of the day, having accomplished and fulfilled your tasks, having done the things on your list, and then going to bed in peace and joyfulness and serenity. And just knowing that everything unfolded in a natural way and that you did everything you needed to. So that would be your outcome in mind. And then imagining what the best way for that, you close your eyes and you imagine and you just see the best, okay? And this is where controlling our minds and not from a sort of a strong-fisted or strong-willed kind of manner, but more of like not controlling in a sense that I need to get you under control because you're incorrigible, but rather from I understand that my mind needs direction. So I'm giving it the direction now, today, from now on. Mind, I want you to imagine the best scenarios in these situations. I want you to bring to our mind the best visions and the best imagination possible of how this scene will unfold. Inspire me, but give me the details that are the most helpful and beneficial. And ask for inspiration from your higher self and from your inner consciousness of wisdom and knowledge, which you have an infinite bank of which that is there. And then combine that with these concepts and then see how it goes and see what unfolds for you. And you apply this in a fun way in your everyday. And life can really take on its new hues and tones and transform from the small things up to the big things that feel insurmountable. But apply it. See what happens, and you will be totally amazed and exhilarated and thrilled that your imagination is there. It's not something that you only had as a child, but you using it now consciously and effectively to your benefit as one of your key powerful resources in your toolbox of life creation and self-mastery and joyful living. All right, so that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. I love you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And lots of love and light to you from myself, Jennifer, at Personal Power Life Coaching. And if you have any questions or you would like a life coaching session, send me a message and I'd definitely be happy to connect. And I look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.